Okay, this video is about to show you the time period of colors on darker skin in the tattoo. Okay, you can see on the picture new and old, and you can see the differences with the color in the eye of the tattoo comparable to the old and new, this kind of thing. So yeah, the important thing to understand is when you get a color tattoo, is so important to really understand that you know that the color you want are not always gonna be that way when the tattoo are healed. So you see here, you see the picture. The old one is the picture I taken today. The new one is the picture in the studio when I first time get that tattoo. And I love the tattoo. It's amazing. But the point here is so important that you know before you get any color tattoo. That is so important. You know that the picture you see on internet are most of the picture you see are picture in the studio, because why a picture is taken in the studio is because this the best picture you're gonna get is in the studio, because the tattoo gonna look the best at that time in the studio. But you have to understand that you may not get that color that exactly that you see in the picture. So when you see example, there's a reason why I do this kind of videos, is to help you to understand why I show a picture on the old version and the new version of the tattoo, is to really explain that there's gonna be a differences with the color and so on. So yeah. So the first thing is, the first thing I do when I get a tattoo, I always ask my tattoo artist what he think will work or not work, and after I talk with that artist, I think for myself. I think do I listen to the artist, or I do not listen to the artist. But you have to understand, if the artist tell you this kind of thing, tell you this maybe not work, you have to understand that if you do that, even if that person say to you they may not work, this is your own fault if that tattoo not look so good when it's healed, because that person have tell you that maybe not work. So the thing with that is I understand when people get frustrated, but you have to understand that to make a color tattoo on a person with brown or black skin is a completely different thing, because it's different with the skin tone, the pigment, with the sunlight, and all these kind of things are different from a person with white skin when you make a tattoo. So it's so important to understand. You have to understand when you make a tattoo. When you get that tattoo with that type of color that you like that type of color. Example, if you like yellow, orange, or this kind of thing, or blue, or so on. You have to understand that when you see a picture on a white skin, a person with white skin have that color, maybe say example blue, for example, that blue may look very good on the person with white skin, but it may not look good on a person with brown or dark skin. The reason why is the pigment. So when you do the tattoo, they're gonna look amazing because the ink have not sink into the skin yet. So all the thing mixing around in the skin will make that color maybe lighter, or maybe to bring down the shading of the color and this kind of thing. So what I mean with all of this thing is, if you do a tattoo with color and the color is too light for your skin. So example, we say a very light pink, for example, just example. If that pink is too light and your skin is too dark, so when the tattoo healed, the ink, the color will make it less visible on your skin. So the difficult thing to do when you get a color tattoo, is to really know the value of your skin tone before you get a color tattoo. It's so important for every the place you live, the sunlight in the place where you live, the pigment of your skin. All these things is important factors before you get a color tattoo, because some pigment will not work together with other pigment of color in that tattoo, will not work together. Some example for me, one of my other tattoos, example, my purple. I try to use purple. The purple do not work on my skin, and one reason, maybe it's a speculation, is maybe that purple was too light, or my skin tone will not work with that kind of purple. It's many different factors why some colors do not work on that kind of skin tone, and some color will work. It's a very difficult. I cannot say. I don't know I don't know the reason why, because it's very difficult. You need, first of all, to understand this kind of thing. You need to understand the pigment in human skin, the pigment, to really understand the other things. So the step by step is very complicated, and there is a reason why many tattoo artists don't want to tattoo people with darker skin, because it's much more difficult to do that. Because you need to understand, a tattoo artist want to do always his best when he do a tattoo, and every tattoo that person do on your skin is a commercial thing. He need to promote every time somebody, oh wow, what cool tattoo you have, example, where do you do that tattoo, or then you tell that this place, and so on. Because it's like a company to make clothing, a company to make a business, like a music industry. And this kind of thing, you always want to promote the best thing, and so on. So there's a reason why it's so complicated, much more complicated, to tattoo people with darker or brown skin, because the pigment is different. The pigment is much darker, and people with white skin, it's much easier to put a much more colorful tattoos on person with white skin, because the skin is the skin tone is different from a person with dark skin. And it's nothing about racism, it's nothing about that, it's just how it works. It's just because it's that way. So a thing that you can do before you get a color tattoo, if you're uncertain, is to take a picture on the part of your body that you want that tattoo, and you take a picture first. If you live in a place like in Europe, and you take a picture first when your skin is lighter, and then you take a picture on your skin in the summer, to show the tattoo artist the different composites with the skin tone from the lighter to the darker on your skin, then the tattoo artist can see how dark your skin will get in the summer and how light the skin in the winter. If you live in a place like in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and this place that is much more colder, comparable to in Europe, in Spain, or this kind of thing, in south of Spain. So it's very important. That is one thing I can recommend, is to take a picture on your skin, or example as your arm, on your arm, to really show different contrasts with how dark your skin get in the summer. But if the tattoo artist can see that, the tattoo artist can see how much darker he needs to make that color to be will work in all conditions from the winter to summer, will work and looks as good as possible, looks good as long as possible. So that is one thing you can do. Maybe that is a bit extreme to do, and the other thing is to take a risk. You know, the first thing ever I do anything with different to a red, there was a risk. You have to understand, when the first time I get my first multi-colored tattoo with multi different colors, like yellow, orange, green, red, and tri-purple. All you have to understand, I have no idea if they will work or not work. It was a big risk and it was expensive thing. So you have to understand, if you get a color tattoo and you don't want just want to do it, you have to understand that you take a risk if you don't know. So you just do it, but it's still a risk. So you have to understand, if something is lots of money, expensive, you have to understand, if the tattoo artist tell you maybe that color maybe not will work, you have to understand, even if you do that color anyways, it's not your artist's fault, it's your own fault, because that person tell you before. So every tattoo you do with colors is a risk, because of the pigment in your skin and this kind of thing. So that is one thing, but I strongly recommend against that, because a tattoo is very important on you. It's an important thing to have. This most important thing is that you love your tattoo for a very long time. I think to take a risk is not a good thing to do, because you maybe get a good one, you maybe get a shit one, you maybe get a tattoo that's completely destroyed because you take the wrong color. For example, one of my tattoo, the tattoo with purple, was black, and there was a frog with a red leaf on the back. And one thing, for example, so if I take the purple leaf on the back of the frog and change the color, that the thing that will happen is the frog will look like he have a hole in his back, because the purple was disappearing. It was very, you cannot even almost see it. You cannot see the purple on the frog. So the safe thing, I'm very glad I do that. That the safe thing you can do is that the third thing you can do if you want a color tattoo is, if you're uncertain about a color, but you still want that color for your tattoo, is to put that color on a place in the tattoo that are less important. If something happened to that tattoo, are less important. For example, we say example. If you have something, a belt, some tattoo with a belt. Like a warrior with a belt, and you make some color for the belt, and the belt will disappear, you still have the tattoo intact. So this is very important to if you want to try a color, to really put that color you're uncertain about in a place that will not damage the tattoo too much. That is the tips I can give to place a tattoo, place a color that are the most absolute thing. The biggest red flag is to put that color you're not uncertain about in the eye of the tattoo. Example, if you make a tattoo with a human and you example make lime blue eyes on the eye in the tattoo, and you have darker skin. For example, that is a very very bad thing. For if that is the case, the tattoo will look disappear. The tattoo going to look horribly because the eye of the color will will not look so bright. Will not look. You cannot even see the color. So with all of this is the reason why it's so important with all these factors in a color tattoo, with how the pigment will work on your skin, how dark your skin will get, and all this kind of thing. The reason why this is so important, because your tattoo is not permanent in that case, in that way, that color is always gonna be that color for your rest from your 20 to your 50. It's not the case. So and the more damage the color get in early period, the lesser that color will hold up in the future. So the thing I strongly recommend is always to try to take a darker color than your skin tone are, because when the tattoo get lighter for time to time get lighter, the tattoo is still gonna hold up much better if the tattoo was lighter from the beginning, because the lighter the pigment, the lighter the color are, the faster the color will disappear, because it's much easier for the sun, or it's much more easy for your pigment to break it down. And so for example, when you are outside in the summer and you are in the t-shirt, or you're in the shirt, or you're in short, your skin is exposed. The sunlight will, the pigment will make the color in your skin darker because you are in sunlight. For example, so if you have a very very light colored tattoo, that color will absolutely looks less for every year, for every week, less visible because of the sunlight. As one more factor is your skin tone. So you can see here in the picture, the old one and the new one, you see that the skin here is much darker here, and it's less darker here on the new one. You see it's much more vibrant when in the new one, because you can much easier see the tattoo, and comparable to the old one is you can still see it, but you can see it's a big differences how you see it on the color. And of course there's also something about the light and this kind of thing, and the picture, how you take it. But you see that example, the eye, the green is much more lighter, more like a emerald green, and the old one is, the green is much more darker green. And with all that, there is one example for that your color will make a different change in the volume in the color because of the skin tone. So that is one factor. So it's so important that you have to understand, where I said before, you have to understand that sunlight will make your skin darker, and that will in fact change your tattoo in some cases, because your skin will change from different things with the sunlight and this kind of thing. So yeah, so the thing is, my strongest recommendation is always to start with a darker version of that color, for example dark green or red, or like a dark blue, or this kind of really to take much more black in the spectrum of colors, comparable to the other opposite side with the more whiter, like if right is black and left is white. So more put your place on the right side and the left side, because it's much more safe. In that case, you get longer tattoo if you have darker skin, to have darker colors comparable if you have whiter colors. So there is a very strange thing. That example, if you have take a black if you have brown skin and you make a black tattoo, just a black tattoo, that color will hold up extremely much longer than just a white tattoo will do. And there is this one of the example is that black is much more heavy colored than a white ink are. It's much stronger. It's much more potent on your skin. White is lesser stronger in the color theme on a dark skin. Some a person with white skin, maybe the white ink will hold up longer, and a person with dark skin. That is a very strange thing. I know that people think that maybe should be opposite, but that is not the case. It's so many factors why a person and a white skin person is so much easier for that person to get color tattoos, more vibrant, comparable to a person with darker skin. Is very interesting. I know that it's a very why, but it's something about the pigment. There's something something in the pigment in the skin, so make that more vibrant on a white skin person comparable to a person with brown or black skin. And that is I honestly I don't know why that is the case. The one thing is the pigment, but it's of course much more factors in that point why this that way. So you so so the tattoo artist, he need much more work and much more planning when he do a color tattoo on your skin. So you have to understand that if a tattoo artist tell you probably don't do that color, is he don't say that because he's a bad person. He just say that because he don't want you to get a bad tattoo. So the reason why a tattoo artist maybe back down for that is much more complicated thing. Is if, for example, if a tattoo artist all his life only tattoo white people, and someday person tattoo a dark skinned person with a color tattoo, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing because he the way he mix his colors, there may be some different company he buy his ink from, and so on. Is not maybe it's not suited, maybe that way not maybe suited for a dark skin person. Maybe he have all his life work on that type of skin type. So there is one reason why it's complicated. It's very complicated for the customer if you have dark skin, and it's complicated for the tattoo artist. To you have to really look carefully what color you want, the consequence with that color when the tattoo have healed, and all these kind of things. So there's many different factors in that in that planning of a tattoo. In the part of the body you place the tattoo, place that tattoo on your body. It's a complicated thing. It's a very complicated thing, Fred. You have to understand a tattoo costs lots of money, and if you do some color and you don't know that color will work, you maybe damage your whole tattoo, and you lost maybe six. For in Swedish man, you can lose maybe 20,000 crowns. So it's so important that you plan for the color you want. You ask your tattoo artist. You look around on the internet, and you take you have so many different factors you can do, and you have to take step by step when you make a color tattoo to be certain of that color or that color will work or will not work, and this kind of thing. So yeah, so my free recommendation is, the first one is to maybe not work in every time, but this one tips is to make that color darker than your skin tone are. So example, this is just one example. If for example you want to make some kind of armor, one thing you should very be careful with is to try always to make that color more to the black side, and to the you want gray, because many of armors are look grayish. You want that gray looks more lean more to the black side, or the more darker side, compared to the white side. So the thing I strongly, the red flag is the more white you have in the color, the higher risk is that color will look less visible on your skin when the tattoo have healed. The more, it's not 100% always going to be the safe side, but it's more on the safe side in longer your tattoo will hold up is on the darker side of the color. If the color is more darker, because when the tattoo healed, the color gonna get a bit lighter, and when there was fresh. So all colors will change, but even if you have white skin, but it's more visible if you have dark skin. The color will change in the volume. So for example now, if the green is maybe a 10 in the studio, the green maybe gonna be a 7 when it is healed, or maybe 2 years later maybe a 6 or 5. For example, with the volume. So the higher volume the color are, the longer time they're gonna take for that color to be less visible. The lower volume the color have, the more faster the color gonna disappearing in some case. I hope that makes any sense, and I will make a video sometime in next month when I have done my tattoo, to show you step by step the procession of my tattoo, to show you what I'm meaning from when it's the healing, from when the time it's gonna be done in the studio, the time when the tattoo is healing, to really show you how the color will change, how the color will hold up, and all this kind of thing. So yeah, that is my video on tattoos and so on. Yeah, I hope you like it. Bye.